So what if all the chaos and crisis we're seeing in the world today, what if it isn't an ending? What if it's actually the difficult, messy birth of a whole new beginning? Today, we're diving into a really big idea from the work of Andrew Turtle. It argues that humanity is right on the verge of its next evolutionary leap, a move from a world built on scarcity to one of genuine abundance, and what that really means for our place in the cosmos.
And that idea right there, it really sets the stage. It's suggesting that we're not just living through a bit of change, but a fundamental shift between two completely different eras of civilization. It's a transition from one way of being human to another entirely. So the huge question is, if this really is our evolutionary path, what are we actually evolving into? What does this new world even look like? And maybe more importantly, what is it all preparing us for on a much, much bigger stage?
Okay, so to really get a grip on where we're headed, we have to first understand what we're leaving behind. And according to the source material, this whole thing kicks off with a massive shift in consciousness, what's being called a great planetary awakening. For basically all of recorded history, we've been living in what's called a day two civilization. Think of its operating system as scarcity. And this isn't just about not having enough stuff, it's a deep mindset that has shaped everything. Our economies, our politics, our very identities. It's a system that taught us to compete, to be afraid, and to see ourselves as separate from everyone else and from the planet itself.
The Great Awakening, then, is that moment we finally start to outgrow that old programming. It's described as this collective light bulb going on, a realization of how interconnected we all are. It's not just some nice spiritual idea. It's framed as a necessary psychological and cultural software update for our entire civilization.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This framework completely reframes our current reality. All the immense strain on our systems, the political chaos, the environmental emergencies, they aren't seen as the world falling apart. Instead, they're the intense, painful contractions of a planetary birth. They're the symptoms of an old world groaning and creaking as it gives way to something new.
But here's the thing. This awakening isn't just some idea happening in our heads. It's being pushed forward by a massive change in our material reality, as the very foundation of scarcity itself begins to just dissolve. And this just lays it out so clearly, doesn't it? We're talking about a move from a civilization organized around fear and just trying to survive to one that's organized around possibility and actually flourishing. It's a switch from this zero-sum game of competition to a cooperative model of regeneration, where we build systems that actually replenish themselves instead of just taking.
Now, according to this framework, scarcity isn't collapsing just because we want it to. It's collapsing for 5 very specific structural reasons. First, the cost of making essential things like energy and information is just plummeting towards zero. Second, automation is doing more and more of the work. Third, digital things can be copied for free, forever. Fourth, regenerative systems are just proving to be better and more resilient. And finally, and this is the big one, once we start to see this as possible, the whole idea that we have to live in scarcity just loses its grip on us.
And look, this isn't just a theory about some far-off future. The sources point to clear signals that are already here. Solar power is now the cheapest energy in history. Automation is systemically replacing labor. Vertical farms are starting to decouple our food supply from geography and climate. And information, thanks to the internet, is pretty much everywhere. The evidence is building that this transition is already well underway.
Okay, so if the old world of scarcity is dissolving, what's taking its place? This next part lays out the architecture of this new world, a planetary system designed not just for survival, but for everyone, everywhere to flourish. The absolute cornerstone of this new world is something called the utility economy. Imagine, for a second, a system where the basics you need for a good life, energy, food, water, a place to live, healthcare, are no longer things you have to buy and sell on a market. Instead, they're treated like public utilities, just guaranteed to everyone as a basic right of being a part of this civilization.
Yeah, this isn't something that happens overnight. It's not like flipping a switch. It's seen as a maturation process that takes over a century. Right now, we're in the Great Transition. That's the messy, turbulent part. The next stage is when abundance becomes something we can rely on. And then, eventually, humanity integrates into a coherent planetary whole. It's a story about us learning how to responsibly manage our own incredible capabilities.
And think about what that does to the very meaning of our lives. When just surviving is no longer the main thing driving you every day, human purpose is set free. Instead of working just to live, we're free to contribute our unique gifts, whether that's through art, science, taking care of our communities, or healing our planet.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. What is all this for? Why does achieving abundance matter on a cosmic scale? Well, according to this theory, this entire transition, it's a test.
I absolutely love this quote because it just flips the whole script. Abundance isn't the final destination. It's not about creating some perfect utopia where everyone is just comfortable. It's a training ground. It's the developmental stage a species has to pass through to prove that it's mature enough for whatever comes next.
And this is the test. These are the exam questions. Can we build systems that actually provide for everyone? Can we govern ourselves as one planet without force? Can we find meaning in our lives beyond just survival? And can we align our incredible technological power with wisdom and ethics? Passing this test is how we qualify.
And here's the why. It's actually pretty logical when you think about it. A species that is still at war with itself, that's wrecking its own home, and is driven by fear, it just isn't ready to join the cosmic conversation. It's like a developmental rule. You have to get your own house in order before you can safely and responsibly go out and engage with the neighborhood. This vision then extends to what a mature civilization does. It doesn't go out and conquer, it becomes a steward. This galactic utility network is imagined as a kind of cooperative of advanced species who protect emerging life, offer gentle, non-interfering guidance, and make sure the cosmos isn't just treated as a resource to be plundered. It's a network built on care, not on control.
And this is where our own painful, messy story, our turbulent adolescence as a species, actually becomes our greatest gift. Because we made it through our own chaotic transition, our ultimate purpose could be to serve as mentors, to help other young civilizations navigate that same dangerous path that we once crossed.
So when you pull back and look at the whole arc, the entire story we've just walked through is really a journey of growing up. It's about moving from being a scattered, fragmented species just trying to survive, to becoming a conscious, coherent planetary intelligence that's finally ready to take its place in a much larger cosmic community.
And this just nails the core lesson of the whole thing. Achieving abundance isn't about gaining power or becoming the center of the universe. It's about earning trust. It's the proof that we can finally handle our own power, our own technology, and our own planet with wisdom and with care.
Which leaves us right here, right now, with one final crucial question. If this whole transition really is a test of our species' maturity, well then it's not something we can just sit back and passively watch happen. It's asking for us to consciously participate. So the question isn't just what the future holds, but how do we, you and I, all of us, how do we prepare to pass it?